What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a film that was just released this weekend that I have been very excited to see for a multitude of reasons. For starters, this is directed by and stars Dev Patel, who I think is an incredible actor. He is so talented. I'm a huge fan of the film The Green Knight, and I think throughout his career, Dev has just delivered incredible performances and always blows me away when it comes to his dedication to his craft. And so, knowing he was acting in this movie and also directing it was really exciting to me. And the trailers looked incredible for this, and it's also produced by Jordan Peele's production company, Monkey Paw Productions, which most of the things Jordan Peele associates with are awesome, and so that made me even more hyped for this movie, and I cannot wait to tell you about Monkey Man today. Monkey Man is directed by Dev Patel. Kid, an anonymous young man who ekes out a meager living in an underground fight club where night after night, wearing a gorilla mask, he is beaten bloody by a more popular fighter for cash. After years of suppressed rage, Kid discovers a way to infiltrate the enclave of the city's sinister elite. As his childhood trauma boils over, his mysterious scarred hands unleash an explosive campaign of retribution to settle the score with a man who took everything from him. So, I was very excited to watch this movie. The premise sounded awesome, the trailers looked great, and this thing was fantastic in every single way. This was what I expected and much, much more. It is incredibly shot, it is so well directed, the performances are exceptional. It is a fun, high-octane action movie that also speaks volumes with its social commentary, and I'm really excited to tell you about it today. So at the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to Kid, played by Dev Patel. We don't really know what his name is, and we see flashbacks to his childhood, and he is very close with his mother. And it jumps to present day, and he's living in the slums. He lives in a very poor, impoverished community, and he's fascinated with this very big business in the town that he lives in and the people in charge of it. And he finds a way to maneuver himself into this business while simultaneously earning money wearing a monkey mask and doing these fights where the person who runs the fights makes him take the fall every night, and based on how intense he gets beat up, the more money he makes. And so he's trying to make an income while doing this. And as he's working for this business and starting out as a dishwasher and trying to work his way to the top, we find out why he has joined this business, and that is because something traumatic happened to him when he was younger, involving some of the people in this business who are affiliated with this new religious leader who is picking this person to run for political office where they live, and the corruption involved with these people. And he is trying to go after them not only for revenge, but also to take down this corrupt group of people who are trying to get into a larger position of power. So I thought this movie was exceptional. For starters, Dev Patel's performance in this is unbelievable. It's so quiet and understated in moments. We don't know a lot about his past other than what happened to him as a child. We don't even know his name. But seeing those flashback sequences and seeing how empathetic and compassionate he is towards other people, and how he has this very specific mission and reason for revenge, but it grows as the movie goes on based on people that he interacts with and how he sees certain people and is reminded of his trauma, and so he wants to support these other people. It's just a really deep and layered and complex character that I think Dev Patel does a phenomenal job of portraying. His action sequences in this are incredible. He has a lot of great dramatic moments, and it just continues throughout the film, and he constantly surprised me in this movie. All of the performances in this movie are exceptional. I think the villain in particular, both villains in this are menacing, and they do a really great job with their performances being these villains that Dev Patel has to take down. The cinematography in this is awesome. I think the way that the fight scenes are choreographed is excellent. There's a lot of like handheld footage following the people during the fight sequences, and it's close up when it needs to be and it's pulled back when it needs to be, and I think it heightens and elevates the intensity of the fight sequences in this movie. And it's not non-stop action the entire movie. There's a lot of building as to why he's doing the things that he's doing, and there's a lot of ups and downs throughout the movie, but it's never not captivating. And I think so much of that has to do with the way this thing is shot. The soundtrack choices to this movie are awesome as well. There's some really unconventional music moments that are paralleled with fight scenes that I think really elevate that feeling for you as a viewer. The gore in this is not pulled back. There are some truly gnarly kill sequences in this movie that I thought were really awesome. And the way that Dev Patel's team was able to choreograph these things, it's just a really visceral movie. So many action movies are fun to watch and entertaining, but don't necessarily make you feel the violence in a realistic way. Everything in this movie is like gutturally real. There are so many moments that made me kind of queasy and uncomfortable with how you could just see these hits and the way the sound design was structured. Just the punches that you would hear and the reactions to people when they were getting hit. It's so uncomfortable, and I love the attention to detail that Dev Patel had here to create this very intense action film. And as I said at the beginning of the review, one of the things I loved so much about this movie was its social commentary, and there is layered social commentary throughout the film. This is paralleling to a story in Indian culture that they talk about at the beginning of the movie through a story that his mother is telling him. And the entire story is kind of paralleled to that tale. And it's really incredible the way that they structure it and how it plays out. There's so much about Indian culture in this film. The political landscape, how certain groups are taken advantage of and pushed out of their home for other political parties and religious organizations to take over and push their agendas on people. And I think the way that it's covered is done in such a really beautiful way that's kind of eye-opening to how in cultures, despite like Dev Patel celebrating the culture, he's also critiquing elements of it that could be improved. And I think when we see what's going on in Gaza right now to the Palestinian people, I think a movie like this kind of shining light on how groups in India have taken advantage of other groups based on whether that's religion or background. And it was heartbreaking to watch. And I think the way it was incorporated made the story all the more powerful when we looked at what happened to him and his mother when he was younger in the movie. And I just loved the way that social commentary came through, and like how this religious entity who is the lead of this group shows himself as like all peaceful and like how he's trying to bring harmony to this group of people, but behind the scenes he is willing to commit any acts of violence and horrible things so that he can build these structures to have his cult to join him. And I just think it's so indicative of so many different cultures, and it spoke volumes as the movie was going on. I really loved the incorporation of this group of trans characters in the second half of the movie, and how these people play a part in the culture, and how despite the pivotal role that these trans group of people play in this culture, that they are still treated horribly. And we see news clip footage of how these trans individuals are targeted by violence. And I think Dev Patel really used this movie to highlight groups of people that don't normally get to be the center of attention and that don't normally get talked about in the way that they should. And it was beautiful, and the characters' incorporation to the story and how they contribute to the third act was amazing. I loved it. It was so natural and it was so beautiful. And there are moments in this that feel like, oh, how is this happening? But it plays out like any other action movie in this style does. There are things that you can kind of suspend your disbelief and realize that it makes sense for the story to get from point A to point B. And I'm someone who normally looks for realism in movies, but even in the moments that are hyper sensationalized or that are ridiculous, or you're like, how would a person survive this situation, or how would they get out of this moment? because it's an over-the-top action movie, I'm able to suspend my disbelief. But I think Dev Patel, with the intensity of the violence, keeps it realistic enough that nothing feels so inflated it's unbelievable. And I just couldn't get over the wide array of emotion that I felt through this thing. I went into it thinking this is going to be a fun action movie, and it ended up being so much more, with the representation in the film and talking about the religious conflict and how marginalized groups of people in this culture are treated, and just seeing such a diverse cast and just watching an action movie from a different part of the world was just so much fun. I loved this so much. This is easily one of my favorite movies of the year so far, and I hope Dev Patel gets the opportunity to make so many more movies, because he is such an incredible talent, and I recommend you go watch this on the biggest screen possible. It is just a delightful, fun, incredibly impactful movie that I could see myself watching 100 times and never getting tired of. So have you seen Monkey Man? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was incredible. I loved it so much, and I cannot wait to watch it again. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.